How to create subtitles. Well, as you can imagine, as we've already done a number of times so far in Premiere Pro, this calls for a new window. Yeah, it does. It calls for the text window, which can be found up here, window and text. If you select that, it will pop up somewhere and you can dock it. However, I have another workspace called captioning, and that is literally everything that I need for captioning. Okay, so we've got the reference monitor right here where we can see the video. We've got the timeline, although pushed over to the right a little bit. And here we have our text area. We have transcript, we have captions, and we also have graphics. Now in here, this is showing that all the different graphics that we currently have in this timeline, which is actually all the stuff over here. For captioning, we don't really need to deal with graphics. So as you can see, we're now in the captions area, and we're given the option to transcribe a sequence, create a new caption track, or import captions from file. So say you're working on something that someone has already done and you want to hard code the already established subtitles. They will have an SRT or a text file, and that's how you would import it. But in this, we're going to start from scratch and create it ourselves. Over here is the transcript, which we will be given, we will be taken to this point automatically when we do what we're doing in here. So a couple of little bits of housekeeping first. I've muted off the music already. There's no real need to do that, but I'm just doing it anyway. I'm also going to set an out point to here because that's the last bit of text that we want to be looking at. What has come around quite recently with regards to Premiere Pro, not only is this whole new way of creating subtitles and captions, but also within this, we're on about version 1.4, 1.5, and they've added a couple of other things. So first and foremost, to make it easy for us, I'm going to go to the audio space. And remember when we selected an audio file and we said it was dialogue? All I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here and I'm just going to make sure that it's all dialogue. If it's not, let me just clear audio type, and we click on an audio clip, and we're in the audio area with essential sound. It's giving us the option to say what it is: dialogue, music, SFX, sound effects, or ambience. So rather than just have one selected, I'm going to select them all and I'm going to mark them as dialogue. So we're back to where we started when we first came into this area. Just wanted to recap that just to make sure that we've got the files selected as we want them. Because let's go back over to the captioning area. And again, this isn't default. I have created this space, but you know how to create your workspaces by now. And if not, you can refer back to chapter, wow, it's quite a way back that, wasn't it? You can refer back to chapter 2, mainly 2.2 and 2.3 for understanding the layout and setting up Premiere Pro, which then goes on to explain the windows and how to set up the space, which is point 2.4. So that's the technique that I used to set up this space. And once it's done, as I said in that original time that we went through it, once it's done, it's done. And you never have to think about it again, as long as you are syncing your settings right down here and sync settings. Now, just going to do that while I'm thinking about it. Remember my preference, and I'm uploading my settings. That was a bit of a timely reminder. I don't think I'd synced my settings since we came back online earlier in the course. So now that we are here, I now want to create captions. My in point is set here and my out point is set here. So before we transcribe a sequence, we need to create a new caption track. If you look down here on the actual timeline, we've got video here and we've got audio here. But if we look over here, there's CC, caption track options, and it's grayed out. We can't do anything with it, and that's because we don't have a caption track. However, if we create a new caption track, we're saying that the format is subtitle. You can have different styles if you decide to set them up. I find that the default is absolutely perfect and works brilliantly for everything I do. I'm going to show you in a few chapters time where I've used this in other projects, and Yeah, it's so easy and it looks so professional, but you'll see in this one as well. Let's press OK to create that new caption track. And now if I tilde this, you can now see, if I shrink this down a little bit, bring this down, maybe not, we can't bring that down, used to be able to, that's fine. We now have a subtitle track going along the top here, and we have our video and audio. Tilde that back out, and as we can see, there's our subtitle track. So there we are, all ready to go and ready to create our captions. So we now need to create a transcription. And this is where we use Adobe's servers, because the heavy lifting of the voice recognition isn't done on your computer. It's done on Adobe's servers using Adobe Sensei. And that's running throughout the whole suite now, which is brilliant. It does a lot of automation for you. Again, we'll touch on Adobe Sensei a little bit later on. So we're going to create our transcription, and we can see this button here with a cloud and a up arrow. So it goes without saying, but you need to be connected to the internet to be able to do this. Let's move on. Create transcription. So I'm going to click that, and now it's going to bring up this option. Now the sequence length is 3 minutes and 29 seconds, which is way beyond there because it's for all the other stuff we've got. However, remember when I said, let us select these as dialogue? Well, I can then say audio clips tagged as dialogue. Easy as anything. What that will do, rather than audio on a track, say it's audio on a track and that's track 1, brilliant. Well, VO is audio track 1 because remember we labeled that as VO, and great, that will do all of the dialogue for all of that track. However, what happens if you've got different people speaking on different audio tracks? That's why we have the option to use the audio analysis to analyze all clips tagged as dialogue. That helps us rather than just staying on one track. This wasn't originally an option in this version 0.1. Another way in which we can help the whole system not look at absolutely everything is we set our in point on our out point. We're going to transcribe in point to out point only, so it's not looking for anywhere else that's got dialogue, which there isn't, but just in case. And we're not going to merge output with existing transcription because we don't have an existing transcription. However, if you'd already run this once before and you needed to add more text, this is when you would merge output with existing transcription, because where you have this C1, that's captions 1, you can have caption 2, caption 3, caption 4. However, only one caption track can be live at any one time. So it's worth bearing that in mind. If you have to come back and create more subtitles, merging output with existing transcription will really help. And here you can opt in to recognize when different speakers are talking. That's really good when you've got more than one person talking, and you can highlight who is who. It will recognize who is who, and you can name each of those speakers. It's just for your reference once you get back into here. It's a lot easier. Now, let's go down to this section and read this carefully. When you use this feature, your audio files will be processed and transcribed automatically in the cloud. This process cannot be cancelled once sent for transcription. There's nothing really to worry about with that. I think it's just them covering themselves legally, really. So yeah, once it's started, it can't be stopped until it's finished. So as long as we're all happy with that, let's hit transcribe. And as you can see, this is uploading the audio to server. It's gone there. It's now transcribing the sequence. It keeps you updated all the way through. Now you can imagine if you've got a very long sequence, this can take quite some time. But in this instance, because we're literally well under a minute and the actual amount of text, if we bunched all this up, we're probably way below 45 seconds. It doesn't take any time at all. So what have we got? We've got all the text that has been auto generated, which we're going to look through, and we've got the name of the speaker. It's unknown at the moment because we didn't opt in. Also, we don't really need to name it because it's just me. It's only one speaker. So what do we do now? Well, we play back and we see where we're at. So let's go back to the beginning, press home on here, and as we play, this will highlight the word that it thinks it's saying in here. It's really quite clever. Let's play back and let's see how well it's done. When we think of outdoor cooking, we think back to nature, log fires, open flames, and a good char on the food being served. So far, so good. That is why our biggest focus for our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. Okay, so there's a little bit of a skip there. Wood-fired, and it says to taste. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click into here, and wood-fired should be hyphenated. So I'm going to delete that and put a hyphen in there. And we don't need the word to in there. So let's just delete that. Click out, and this is highlighted. Let's press spacebar to continue playing. Wood-fired taste. Happy? Moving on. When it comes to pizza making, our okay, so that shouldn't have a comma. It's pizza making. So we're going to come in here and delete that and press that. It could be hyphenated, I guess, but we're not going to bother. Pizza making, our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. Okay, so this is recognizing the words, but actually the #1 pizza oven is actually a title. So I can come into here, and now we don't have to worry about full stops or periods or anything like that. So that's what that's called. That should be a capital, and that should be a capital. Click back out and carry on. #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. We have go-to should be hyphenated as well, so we can come in here. You see how easy this is to just change the text? Never, ever, ever used to be this easy. Go-to family choice. We have carefully designed the oven so that there is a perfect flow of heat throughout, and you can be cooking in as little as 15 minutes. That's brilliant. That's spot on. Oven is highlighted here, but I think that's because it's just a little bit of query. The server possibly thought, is that oven or is it another word? It was oven. Spot on. Let's carry on. The steel pizza base, that's correct as well. It just doesn't know if that was the spelling of steel we want, because obviously we've got STEAL as in to take without consent. Oh, that sounds quite legal. Carrying on. Is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens, as we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. I was just about to say the commas in here are perfect. They're exactly where they should be. However, I'm going to put another comma in here as well. Perfect comma, no, not full stop. Perfect comma, crisp base to your pizza. And that's it. That's everything checked through. I promise you it's never normally that easily. It depends who's speaking. Obviously I was speaking on a voiceover microphone right here and doing my best to be nice and clear. Sometimes you've got edits with clients or people who are speaking who are almost mumbling, and it gets only about 50 to 60% accurate. But as you can see, it's so easy to come in here and change that text about. So that's not our captions. That's our transcripts. That's the transcription of the talking. We now need to create our captions. And because we have our captions track created, let's just create them. This brings up this. Create the sequence. Create from sequence transcript. Yes, that's what we want to do. Subtitle default. I want the format to be subtitle. If we click in here, there are loads of different types of subtitle depending on where you are. However, these days, that's not really so important because pretty much everything is online viewing, so that's all good. Style, again, you could have a style that you've saved, but again, I'm happy with that. In here, you kind of, this is personal preference. These are actually the default, but I'm quite happy with these. So the maximum length in characters is 42 characters per caption that's on the screen at any one time. And the minimum duration in seconds is 3. Those two values are kind of what's been set up through brand standard or industry standard as to what the human eye can read in a certain amount of time and how long it needs it on screen to be able to easily get it. Does that make sense? Good. And finally, we give them the options of single or double lines. Personally, I believe in the thought that rather than having one single line that goes all the way along the bottom, having the ability to have double lines keeps the viewer's eye right in the middle. Isn't it crazy that we think of these things even with regards to video editing? It really is. There's so many jobs in one. But with all that in mind, I'm quite happy with all those settings. So let's create our captions. And as you can see, it's now creating within seconds. It's done. Now already I'm looking here and I can see there's times where there's just one word and all that. So now that we've created these captions, as you can see them on screen, we now need to go back. Now this has now started doing something new that I never did before. And you know, at the very beginning when we created the captions track, it's overwritten that captions track with caption 2. So maybe you don't need to do that now from the beginning. However, the good thing is it's done it, so I can show you that because caption 2, C2 has been created, caption 1 has been turned off. And the minute I turn on C1, C2 is turned off. So that highlights the rule that I told you, that you can only have one captions track on at any one time. Why is that? Well, that's because you have the option to merge captions with pre-existing captions. You can have the same language on one track. And if you look here, we could have maybe English on C1, French on C2, Italian on C3 for the pizzas, Spanish, German, all the way down Mandarin, and you could have all your different languages just laid out and then just render out each version depending on which language you're looking to caption. That's probably the best case use for that option, to be able to switch and only being able to have one caption track live at any one time. So what do we do from here? Well, we go right back to the beginning and we start playing through, keeping an eye on here and here at the same time as to what's being shown on screen and what is actually being reflected here. If I make this a little bit taller, I'm just going to spread this out a little bit so we can kind of see where we're working, and hit spacebar to play back. When we think of outdoor cooking, we think back to nature. I'm happy with that. That looks good. Log fires, open flames, and a good char on the food being served. Okay, so I personally don't necessarily want those two to be separated. So what we can do is, as you can see, this has created all our captions as graphics. So I'm going to select this one, hold down Shift and select this one. As you can see over here, these two are now selected. And what we can do is we can either merge or split. So we don't want to split, so let's merge the captions, and all of a sudden we have them all on the same caption, however all on the same line. So I want to drop that down, so we double click into here and we decide where we want to start the second line, and a good char, maybe we'll do it there. So delete to bring that back, enter, and it updates automatically on here. Click out somewhere and that's now been committed. Log fires, open flames, and a good char on the food being served. I'm happy with that. Now it does continue and it holds it on screen for a while. I don't really want that. Let's read it back and let's see where we'd then want the text to come off, because we want this effect to be really clear as well. Log fires, open flames, and a good char on the food being served. I'm happy with it to actually go out at the time that the video goes out, so we can pull this back just as if it was any other kind of graphic object, and it'll go off. We'll play this and carry on. Food being served. That is why our biggest focus for our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. Okay, there's a couple of things I want to do here. I don't think that this really works on two lines. I prefer it on the bottom line in the letterbox. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to delete that and hit space to give us a space between those two words. And as you can see, it defaults to the bottom. It doesn't default to the top line. Even though it's at the top line in this area, it defaults to the bottom. Happy with that. Looks good. And in this next bit, we have taste sitting there all on its own. Biggest focus for our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. So what we're going to do? Yeah, we're going to merge them. Select them both, and no, we're not going to split. Idiot. We're going to merge. And we have all of those words in one. Let's play that back. Our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. Now I think we actually need a comma with authentic wood-fired, because those are two descriptors. So I didn't pick that up on the first time, but we can easily go in here and edit that now. And now we have. That is why our biggest focus for our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. And that goes off the screen at the right point. I'm quite happy for that. Did you notice though, wherever you select on here, the playhead goes to the beginning. So it starts playing from the beginning of that caption. Log fires, open flames. So that's a really good way to make sure that your playback is playing back from where you want. You're not having to drag this playhead along. Again, that's another feature that was added to this version. So let's carry on. Taste. When it comes to pizza making, our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. There's a lot of words there, isn't it? Making our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit different here. I'm going to split this one and I'm going to add part of it to the one before. The easiest way to do that is to find the timing. When it comes to pizza making, our #1 pizza oven right there. So I'm going to split that here and just have it with is the go-to family choice. So first and foremost, we go to this one, which is the one that we want to split, and let's split there, and it will split at the playhead. See there? So we've now got 2 versions of this. Now we know that in this section, in this one, is the go-to family choice. That's all we want, is the go-to family choice. So we'll double click into there and delete everything before is. Happy with that. Let's go back here. Now we don't now need is the go-to family choice, because we know that that's not actually being said of underneath this graphic. So we'll double click that, and similarly, or in direct contrast, we'll delete that bit of text. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to merge these two. Comes to pizza making, our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family. Thing is, we could easily put those both on the same line, and that would work. When it comes to pizza making, our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. That's good, but I think there's too much changing at one time, and it might be harder for the viewer to follow all that text if they're watching silently. So we're going to select them both and we're going to merge those. However, they're both on the same line. So just click in here and I'm going to delete and enter. So now we've got no space at the end here and we've got it on 2 lines. Carrying on. #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. We have carefully designed the oven so that there is a perfect flow of heat throughout, and you can be cooking in as little as 15 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, we could easily paste this a lot better. We could have it so we have heat throughout in this. A perfect flow of heat throughout. Good, I'm going to just do this manually now, and I'm going to come in here, because you can, and we're going to change that to there. I'm going to change that to there, and I'm going to put the word throughout in here. Similarly, I'm going to take out the word throughout from here, delete that up, and let's just check if that works okay. We have carefully designed the oven so that there is a perfect flow of heat throughout, and you can be cooking in as little as 15 minutes. And now I'm going to merge these two, because I think that's one of the big USPs, the unique selling point for this. And I think having both those bits of text on at the same time is not only correct for how we're using the captions here, but also it really helps the selling point because it's on the screen at the same time. So we're going to merge these two, and I'm going to drop down from in. Play that back. We have carefully designed the oven so that there is a perfect flow of heat throughout, and you can be cooking in as little as 15 minutes. Good, happy with that. Maybe the captions are on for a little bit too long. Minutes. Maybe get it out there, and we'll carry on. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens, as we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. Okay, so that's a lot of words in this one and this one. So again, this is kind of personal choice, but let's just have a playback and you just watch kind of what I come up with. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens. Okay, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to split that, and I'm going to get rid of used in most, as we believe, because I think that needs to run on from this. But the steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens. Base is different. The steel pizza base is different. I'm going to split that there. You see, if I split it here, it splits it here as well. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the steel pizza base. Pizza base is different from the... Yeah, so we're going to have different on its own. So if we get rid of that piece of text, bring that up, we're going to go into the first one and get rid of the other text, which is from the traditional stone. Delete that up so it's there. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens. I'm going to now select those two and merge them two. I think I'm going to keep that on that line, but obviously we have a duplicate now of this text used in most ovens. So I'll go into here and delete, and start that again. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens, as we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. Okay, I'm going to continue that because we are on a single line here towards the end, so I'm going to try and continue that. Rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base. I'm going to stop it there because we're finishing it off. So I'm going to go perfect crisp base and have to your pizza just sitting on its own right at the end. Let's play that again. As we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you... I'm going to put those both on the same line as well. From the traditional stone used in most ovens, as we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. And I'm going to keep that last bit of text on for a little bit longer. That this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. Good. I like it. So now with all of the subtitles all made, what do we do now? Well, let's bring back in the music and play it back and double check that it's exactly how we want it. When we think of outdoor cooking, we think back to nature, log fires, open flames, and a good char on the food being served. That is why our biggest focus for our products is making sure you get that authentic wood-fired taste. When it comes to pizza making, our #1 pizza oven is the go-to family choice. We have carefully designed the oven so that there is a perfect flow of heat throughout, and you can be cooking in as little as 15 minutes. The steel pizza base is different from the traditional stone used in most ovens, as we believe from rigorous testing that this gives you the perfect crisp base to your pizza. Great. I'm sure you'll agree, or I hope you'll agree, that just looks so much more professional, like so much more. I'm muting this so I don't get playback when I'm coming around. I just want to point out, in case there's the inquisitive minds there, a char, by the way, a good char on the food being served. Char is like that. I learned that by making pizzas, but the char is like almost like the burnt charcoaly bit on your crust. Good. I'm glad I shared that with you. So now we need to export this and decide how we're going to do that. However, before we do, let's make sure that everything is ready to output how we want to do. And to get a better view of that, we're going to go back to Atom Editing. Obviously, yours will be called differently, but that's my workspace. We're done here. Nothing else needs to be done and nothing needs to be committed because it's done. It's in the sequence. It's running as it needs to. So let's go back to Atom Editing. Yeah, my system is taking a little bit of a time to catch up at the moment, probably because of all the screen recording. And I'm going to unmute the audio track and unmute the music. However, I do just want to ask you a question. Are you as bored as I am with that music by now? If you are, then welcome to my world and the world you are going into, because yeah, it can really be quite dreary. So the in point and the out point aren't correct, so we're going to go to the end of the music. Remember the reason why we did that, so we could continue the crashing waves at the end. We need that on, although I'd love to be on the beach right now rather than listen to this music. And we are all set up to render. So we're not rendering anything, exporting. Remember that exporting is rendering. We're not rendering anything new other than this. All this captions. However, we're going to do it all together to show you best practice. And before we do that, I'm going to clear out the render file. And in here, as you can remember from before, we've got all of these. I'm just going to delete these for now, just so we're not confusing anything. And we're going to I'm going to show you two versions of rendering, and it's going to also confirm with you one of the reasons that we exported the way that we did last time. So we're in here, everything's running fine. Let's just do one final little playthrough. When we think of out, good, happy with that, everything is showing. Most ovens, as we believe, from rig crisp, good, we're all good to go.